And five, four, three, two. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mia Hall TV. I am your host of Brown Girls Glow Live. Thank you for tuning in. Brown Girls Glow Live is a show where we bring in powerful, amazing women of color to talk about their careers, how they got to where they are today, and who helped them get there. Women that inspire them, and even more. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Jasmine Yard. She is a production services representative at Assembly Atlanta, right in Doraville, Georgia. Ah, yes, girl. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about her before she comes to the stage. um, Jasmine was born in Framingham, Massachusetts, so shout out to the Northeast. Jasmine Yard is a proud firstborn of two remarkable teenage parents who defied the odds and built successful businesses on their own. Shout out to them. Now 31 years old, Jasmine has always had an unshakable passion for film and television, a love that took root in childhood and flourished into a dynamic career. A Georgia Film Academy alum, Jasmine completed GFA's prestigious internship program in 2018, a pivotal moment that launched her into the world of professional film and television production. Her resume boasts of experiences with major industry players, including Netflix, Sony, Tyler Perry Studios, yep, that's right, TPS, where she cultivated relationships and expertise that led to her current role at NBCUniversal's Assembly Studios in Atlanta. Fiercely loyal and protective of her family, Jasmine is the eldest of three and a vibrant soul with a deep love for singing, dancing, and baking. So y'all make sure, listen, y'all look out for her sweets. Whether she's managing productions or whipping up a batch of her signature sweets, Jasmine brings creativity, joy, and dedication to everything she touches. Everybody welcome Jasmine Yard. Hey, Jasmine, how are you today?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for joining us. And I was so happy to, meet Jasmine on that beautiful campus at NBC Universal Assembly Studios. And yes, just thank you so much for joining us. So, Jasmine, I love your bio. Love your story. Thank you for meeting me and staying in touch with me as an up and coming producer. You know that it is not easy to make relationships and build relationships in the film industry. So, first of all, I just want to salute you for that. I want to salute you for your passion for giving back as well. And I want to give you your flowers because it's not easy. You know what I mean? Growing up, I had two teenage parents of my own. So, and they thankfully, they're not business owners, but, thankfully they were able to, rear me and, guide me along the path of inspiration and education. So, but I know it's not an easy path. So I just want to give you flowers and commend you for that.
Thank you.
Of course,
Thank you.
of course. So I know that you said you started out in your passion for film and television started out at a young age. So my first question is to you is: was there one film or TV show that made you fall in love with the film industry?
Yes. So Toy Story
Mm.
was the first movie I saw in theaters, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Um, I was very young, and unlike any other kid, like my parents could take me to the theater, and I would be captivated the entire time. I wouldn't move, make any noise. I was watching that film on the screen. So yeah, Toy Story definitely kicked it off, and I've been watching movies and collecting films. My dad worked at Walgreens, so he always brought home a movie, which back then it was VHS. So I was always constantly rewinding and playing movies, and just knowing I wanted to be a part of that story making, and just like any piece of that puzzle that I could be a part of, I wanted to be a part of. So
I love that. I love that. So, wow, I love that a lot. And me and my mom, Toy Story, we went to see it in theaters, and that was just like, well, the first one, and that was just, that was like one of our favorite movies like that we have
yes.
together, like shared favorite. It's truly a classic, so I love it. Okay, awesome. And then, so since this show is really targeted towards high school girls, can you tell us a little bit about things that you might have done in high school that helped to cultivate your passion and your love for the industry?
Okay, so high school.
Taking it back. Taking it
I know, right?
back.
I just had my 10-year actually
Cool.
reunion not too long ago.
Nice.
So when it came to cultivating and really kicking off coming into this industry, it's all about networking and who you know. So it was very important for me to do a lot of like internships or just coming in and just like shadowing anybody that I could. One of the first things that I did, my aunt had a connection. One of her sisters from her college experience was shooting a movie, and she wanted to use my aunt's house as the location. And she was like, "Yep, you can do that, but first, I want you to use my niece as an assistant or whatever, a PA on this movie." And she was like, "Okay, bet." So I assisted that director, was my first like real experience on set and what that looked like. And I was hooked. So I just wanted to get more and more of that. So I did a lot more of those things where I just came in. It wasn't about making money, it was about building my experience and networking with film professionals in my area in Atlanta. So it wasn't like I had to leave Georgia. It's not like it is now where you have to be in New York or LA, California, whatever. It's so widespread now, especially nowadays with streaming and things of that nature, where you can follow your dreams and you don't have to go to one or two of those places, you know? There's more opportunities, especially for like the production side of it. The creative side is still kind of still based out of LA and New York, but the production side where, all the magic actually happens, the sets and everything, there's just still, there's more of, it's more widespread where you can go. So,
Love that.
sorry.
Oh, that's great.
Did I answer your question?
No, absolutely it does
Okay.
because it helps high school students to realize that look, sometimes it's going to take some hustle. It's going to take some, working for free, as much as,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sure they want to earn, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, once I paid this and paid that,
Mhm.
you have to pay your dues. Like
Yeah.
sometimes we
Yeah.
have to pay, our dues in order to, to get into the field that we want to get into. And we see that it paid off for you. So listen, y'all, take
Yes.
notes, high school girl.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So I want to know from high school, then as a senior, I guess, or maybe junior, like how did you know, what college you wanted to go to and what I know you wanted to study film, so that might have been easy, but how did you choose which, college?
You would have thought it would have been easy. Unfortunately, family sometimes dictates where you end up. And for me, being the firstborn, it was very important for me to follow my parents' wishes and kind of stay on their good side.
Mm,
So I ended up going to college that my dad chose for me.
okay.
Georgia State University is where I attended.
Mm,
It was in Atlanta, in the middle of everything. So that's it. Also had its benefits in terms of film because that's you got to be where the magic's happening, if that makes sense. I did not major in film. I had a major in business because that's what he was more comfortable with. But
mm.
I minored in film, so I still snuck my way in there.
Okay.
So it was a way to me to kind of like compromise, but not completely giving up on my passion and what I wanted to do, but still being respectful and listening to my father's advice that everything's a business and going into film it has its uncertainty about it. So he just wanted me to be okay, and I understood that, so I made sure that I did both. I made a balance. So Georgia State University was the college that I attended 4 years. And then I led into the internship with Georgia Film Academy, which really solidified what I needed to know once I arrived on set. They gave me basic etiquette on, using walkie talkies, things like that, what to expect. So I didn't come in super green, if that makes sense. It also was easier flaunting that name GFA because it has a level of, it holds weight. So when they were hiring people to bring on, because I was GFA, I rised up the ladder, if that makes sense. It was just, it was good to have that in my back pocket. And then once I was on set, it was all about showing up, giving my 110% so that they would want to keep me after the internship program had ended. So it was really about GFA helped me get my foot in the door and me doing what I had to do to stay there. So, yeah.
That, and I love that you emphasize that. That's very important. The last thing you said, like, because it's one thing to get in the door, and the
Yes.
name GFA got you in the door, but it's another thing to
Hmm.
stay there, because
Exactly.
excellence at one level is mediocrity at the next. So you have to,
Hmm.
of course, you're going to be excellent. You are excellent enough to get in there. Now that you're in there, okay, that excellence, you still got to step it up. So,
Yep.
I love that you talked about that. So, yeah, no, that's amazing. That's great. Okay, okay. So let's see. So tell us a moment when you had a pinch me moment from working in film and television, because I mean you worked with some of the biggest names in the industry: Netflix, Sony, Universal, now Tyler Perry Studios. What was your biggest pinch me moment while working so far?
Man, I might have had a couple. um, but one of my big ones was when I worked on They Clone Tyrone, which was a Netflix TV show.
Yes, I love.
And the star of that show is John Boyega,
Oh, yep.
who starred in Star Wars, which I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Okay, okay.
Yes, so of course, just working in the production office, doing my thing, he just casually walks in and is like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Hi," and he's like, "You're a Star Wars fan, are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I am."
Yeah,
Percent I am.
hilarious.
He's like, "I can always tell." And
That's
just
cool.
talking with me and being so like, just just knowing that I probably was little like starstruck, he still was like playing like, "Okay, I know you're nervous, but hey, I'm normal, like let's da da da," and just like it was really cool. It was really
I
cool.
love
I'm even getting like right
thinking
now
about it.
about it.
No, I love.
Yes, it was, yeah. And it was things like that. It's kind of like you see these people on the screen, but they're people at the end of the day. In the production office itself, we deal a lot with the actors. We're the ones that hand them their scripts. We're the ones that tell them what their call times are to arrive at set and make sure that they get a ride back to their home or their hotel, wherever, if they live here or not. Um, we're always coordinating and doing a lot of communication with the actors, the assistants, honestly, with everybody on set. Being in the production office, I will say it may not be as fun as being on set, but at least in the office, you have your hands in everything. All departments go through the production office. They have to funnel through. We're the ones who make sure they have their equipment. We hand out and distro any paperwork for the production, so they're going to come back to us in the end. We also are the ones who cultivate the crew list. So in terms of networking, you'll know the names and emails and such and such. So you'll know everybody who's worked on this production. So I will say production office is definitely the go-to to like get your hands in a little bit of everything so you know exactly what you want to do in film.
Okay, I like that. So yes, listen up, ladies, because that sounds like a great tip.
Yes.
Like to be in the production office, you can see the whole, I would say world, and the whole,
Hmm.
stratosphere, atmosphere of, the
Yeah.
so, that's awesome. I would also say, you say that you're able to interact with people, not only the cast, but the crew above the line, below the line.
Hmm.
What do you think helped you, to be able to successfully interact with a wide range of people? Like, can you credit that to, upbringing? Can you credit that to a skill that you had to cultivate? How are you able to, speak with everybody, and what type of skill, does that take?
I'd probably credit that to my parents and the way they raised me.
Mm.
I'm someone who's gonna bring a level of professionalism to anything that I do. I also, I understand and can empathize with these celebrities where they're not gonna wanna be bombarded or treated as like this. I can just see how to navigate and create a level of comfortability
Mm.
and be able to communicate with them, whether it is fangirling, hey, do that for a moment, get that over with, do if you got to step outside and just get over that part so you can actually communicate and talk with them and get past that and actually get to the meat of it, if that makes sense. So I will say I credit it a lot to my parents being the eldest. It's always about showing the best and being that example for my siblings. So I think I've always strived to do better and just be the best that I can be. Yeah.
Hey, no, I love that. I love that. And yeah, my mom used to tell me this phrase like get over the awe. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause
Mhm,
I worked in entertainment for a long time, and always interfacing with like celebrities and things like that. Like, get past the awe, and then
mhm.
like then you can just work because well, for you are people, things like that. So,
Yes.
no, I love that, and shout out to your parents for that. Okay, so also I know that you said your parents are business owners. How did that help you in your career? Like, did you see them, were you inspired by them, as business owners? And I know that your dad, encouraged you to go into business, but how did like the entrepreneurship of your parents that how did that inspire you in your career?
I will say my dad, specifically, his whole thing is, I want you to do better than me.
Mm.
So seeing where they are, business owners, okay, I got to do better than that. It's always about reaching that next level, or at least getting to their level and then seeing how much further you can go. So to me, I was always about striving, about getting better and doing whatever I can to leave my mark. I'm seeing what they've left behind. I also want to be able to contribute and leave something of my own behind and really, really build on to what my family's legacy could be. These two individuals were teenage parents who no one thought they would make it to where they are now. They didn't have that support. They were pretty much told, you probably are going to flunk out of school. A lot of negativity surrounding them, but they wanted better. Both parents were divorcees, and they know they wanted to. And my parents are married 27 plus years now.
Oh,
So
congratulations to them. Yeah.
yeah, so for them, they also were like, we want to do better. So how are we going to do that? Um, and my mom has always had this love for children. She owns a daycare, and she continues to be that parent figure to countless children who've come through her school. So it's definitely it's inspiring just to see everything that she's gone through and where she's at now. And I also want to make her proud. So that's why I'm working as hard as I can. And I already see exactly where I want to be. I want to be owning and running this studio that I'm at right now. So I'm doing everything I can every day, the extra mile that I can do, whatever it is, putting in that extra, staying longer, whatever that is to push me over that edge, I'm going to do it.
Love that. I love that. Okay, come on. Yes, I love that. And I look forward to, being there when I see you, you know what I mean? Like at the top of that
Mhm.
studio, like who runs this? Oh,
Yes.
Jasmine Yard. Yep, we remember her. I love that. I love that. Okay, awesome. You talk about you had a long road to success. But actually in Glow Girl, I talk about positive peer pressure, right? So I want you to tell us a little bit about who's in your circle, right? Do you have some people talk about a personal board of directors, right? Like maybe mentors
Mm,
or people that they go to when they want to make big decisions. Some people talk about, their peer group, right? People that they network, across, networking across, and people that are on their same level. So can you just let the young women know, were there people, whether it's accountability partners or mentors that helped you to get to where you are today, and how is your relationship with them?
Um, I will say that I've met some great mentors along the way. And number one being my parents. Those two fighting for me since day one, being teenage parents, and also individuals that I met in the workplace who aspired me or showed me something that I also wanted. Like, I want to be exactly like that individual. How did they get to that place? But I will say a lot of it was self cultivated. I had to be being the first at a lot of things, being the firstborn, the eldest, the first to go to college and make it all the way through. I kind of had to be my own mentor. I had to set that example. There wasn't anyone in my family who was working in the film industry, so there wasn't a roadmap already plotted for me. So a lot of those things I had to create myself and cultivate myself and kind of say, regardless if I haven't seen anyone in my family doing this, I still want to achieve this goal. I still want to work in film. A lot of my family members, older generation, were saying like, that's, the starving artist. That could be a hobby. That's something you could do on the side. No, this is going to be my career. I'm going to make a living doing this. I may not have all the answers, but trust I'm going to find them. So I will say I had few mentors in the beginning, and a lot of them, unfortunately, could only push me so far. I had to do most of the pushing myself. So I say that you may to your listeners, you may not have somebody in your life right now, um, but you can be your number one supporter, and that's at the end of the day, that matters more. If that makes sense, because the voice that you're hearing constantly is your own. So you want to make sure you're pushing yourself to do exactly what you want to do every day and just keep going at it. And I feel like when you're exuding that type of energy, you'll also attract that as well. So you'll start to meet those individuals who have similar goals, who have similar outlooks on life and things that you want to do.
So it sounds like you had, definitely inspired by your parents and maybe some mentors along the way, but it was a lot on you and a lot of self regulated, learning and growing and having to figure it out on your own, because you had a strong internal push
Yes.
to succeed. And you said you would attract that. So I love that. And you'll attract people that are on the same, that are about doing the same things, getting to their goals and getting to where they want to be. So I love that. Can you just tell us a bit of, how did you set goals? Because I also talk about goal setting in the book, like, creating a vision board, or, putting up, notes in a place where you can see it every day, saying affirmations. I give those as tips, for girls if they want to goal set, if they have a big dream, but, breaking it down into smaller milestones. What are some of the things that you've done, and, to set big goals, and that you do in order to meet those goals, even some that you haven't met yet that you might still be working on?
Um, what I do in terms of setting goals, I'm a visual person, so I do create vision boards, which I love. I actually expanded that and made an entire vision wall. So my bedroom wall is all the goals that I want to achieve. It's completely plastered. So every morning I look up and I can see it. It's the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. So I think that's very important to continue to look at that. And I feel like seeing it every day, it'll start to sit in your mind that that's something you need to achieve. And it just settles in like, and I will say when I started creating the vision boards, I noticed that I was achieving those goals quicker. Um, and I don't even know if I was doing anything else differently. I feel like just knowing that there was a clear end, like finish line that I was trying to get to, I think it made it more attainable. Um, and you can start off very small. It was in the beginning. It wasn't like these outrageous goals. It was very small things like buying my first apartment. Um, which to me that was that was a journey, especially here in Atlanta and trying to figure out where exactly I was trying to be at. But for me, I wanted to separate work and home. I didn't want to eat and sleep where I work, if that makes sense. I wanted to be able to separate the two. So just printing out photos of apartments, um, buying my first car. I took a picture of the exact car that I wanted, and guess what? That's the exact car that I have, to the color, to the model. It's that car that I have.
Right.
And just like even like things in terms of like love that I'm trying to attain with my partner, and of course, you know, the end goal being married and having kids, that's on there too. Something that me and my partner now are talking about, because it's like, hey, it's up there. So he sees it too. I don't even have to say anything. It's right there. So I definitely encourage vision boards, and definitely having someone in your corner that can keep like accountability as well. Checking in on you. Have you met that goal yet? What do you need to do to get to that point? You know, what are you doing today that's bringing you closer to that goal? Um, there's a thing that my dad taught me. It's called sand and rocks.
Mm.
So you want to make sure you're and it's about putting it like in a jar. So the rocks are like the pretty much the bigger things that you need to do throughout the day. So get all the rocks out of the way, and then the sand is more of the playful and just a relaxing thing. So you want to make sure you've gotten all your rocks done before you can start filling in the sand, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's kind of like work hard, play hard. So get everything done you need to do so that you can also relax and have that me time, so you can rejuvenate yourself and be able to be ready for the next day and do it all over again.
I love that. I love that. Well, that's a good transition into my next question, because I did want to ask, like, so how do you balance? You have a great job that I'm sure takes up a lot of your time. You spend time with your family, and you're a baker, so I want to hear more about that too. And then you have to have time for your relationship. How do you balance everything and incorporate self care and fun into your schedule?
Okay, so balance is important. In the beginning, starting out, I was saying yes to everything. Work was definitely priority. And I had that mindset because I was new. And to me, I didn't want to say no to any opportunities because I wasn't sure if the next one would come along, if that makes sense. But I learned very early on that regardless of how hard you're pushing and how much you're giving, if you're not able to, if you're not taking care of yourself and you can't meet that, um then you're no good to anyone. So you got to take care of yourself, or you're not going to be able to give 100%, if that makes sense. Um, Kind of like that whole thing with on the airplane, you got to like put the mask on yourself first and then take care, exactly like that. And I had to learn that very early on, or I was going to burn myself out.
Mm.
Because in this industry, we're working long hours, especially on set, 12 plus hours. And then, you got to drive home at the end of the night as well, most of the time. So another hour or two driving home for me. So it was
Mm.
like, oh, I was tired.
Mm.
So, and I think finding that work life balance was very important, and it helped because when I was able to spend the adequate time with my family, with the man that I love right now, I was giving off and just feeling re-energized to go back and pour that into the work that I also love. So it was just very important to balance the two. And I'm learning that more and more, especially in this job that I am now, that's always encouraging me to take time off. Just they call it my days, which I love. Just like
Love that
this,
too.
we don't even need to know what it is. Take a my day just for
Cool.
you,
I love that.
so that you can come back and give us 100%. Thinking,
Take your mind.
okay, I hear you. Let me take that my day so I can come back and just really like, because the thing is, you don't ever want to think of it as a job, or as a chore. It's something that you want to enjoy doing every day. And it can be like that if it becomes too much on your body, on your mental health, which is very important as well. You want to take care of that mind, take care of your physical, all that, so that you can come in here and give all yourself into it. Because in this industry in particular, we're dealing with a lot of interesting characters, very, needy people. So you want to make sure your mental and physical is all good so that you can go to battle, and at the end of the day come back, take the armor off and just be relaxed and be around your family, and not bring what's ever happening at work home as well. You want to have maybe even a minute to yourself to just like cool down, meditate, whatever you got to do, listen to some music. I love listening to music. That definitely helps me, especially driving in this Atlanta traffic. Just blast that music. I'm like, all right, we just put on a concert tonight. This helps so that the time I do make it home, I'm ready to be Jasmine, take the work jacket off and just slide back into, whether it's being with my mom and dad or my siblings, or being with the guy that I'm in love with right now, and just cultivating that relationship. So you got to have a balance. It's very important to have balance, or something is going to be out of whack. Something's not going to work right if you don't balance the two.
Okay. Okay, I love that. And yeah, so speaking of, not burning out and things like that, what's another challenge that you feel like you faced in your, I mean, it could either be in high school or, later in your career, that you learned like a lesson from?
Um, let's see. I feel like there's a lot of things that I learned. Um,
Just a challenge that you've overcome, because one of the parts of the book too is overcoming. And I really want, no matter, I want, the girls to know, no matter what they've been through, they can overcome and come out on the other side of it, because other people, might have been through a similar thing. And guess what? It was hard for them, but, sometimes a setback is only a setup for a comeback, something like that. Like, do you have any of those type of situations?
I've definitely had some setbacks, and especially this industry. Not too long ago, we had the writers' strike and the
Right.
actors went on strike.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have an income for months. The bills didn't stop coming. You know, I was losing a lot of hope. I was feeling defeated. Um, as the eldest, I felt like I didn't have a lot to show for all the years I was putting into this industry. Um, it definitely took a toll on my mental health. But I had to realize it didn't have to do with what I was putting out. It was just a low in the industry at the time. And I needed to take that low as an opportunity to maybe focus more on myself and things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do when I was actively working. Um, and also that low is what brought me to the position that I am at now. I was able to interview for NBC Universal, and thank God I did that, because the freelance side, working on the films, those are fun, but I finally found something that was consistent, that allowed me to support multiple productions, and and to really build up my network, because I would have 5 shows and there's 200 crews on each show,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in communication with every single one of them,
Wow.
and at a time span that was like more concise, because when you're on a production for 3 months, 6 months. but this is day one. I'm already on 5 different productions. If that makes sense. So it was more. I had more exposure to all these different shows and productions. So yeah, I feel like am I answering your am I answering the
Yeah,
question?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because you're talking about the challenge. Like, it sounds like the setback was the strike, which was the writer's strike,
Yeah.
which, for so many of us,
Yeah.
really took a toll. And this was like not too long after the pandemic. It's like, oh, well, we just went,
Yes,
like,
yes.
so.
And I don't even care. I'll get real personal. I had to file bankruptcy during this time. That's
Mm,
how bad it got.
mm,
Um, I could only go into my savings for so long. That strike lasted too long, way too long. Where like savings, credit cards, everything, nothing stopped coming. Car payments, all that stuff, it never stopped coming. So that was really hard for me to do, and I felt like I failed as a daughter, as a person, that like I had to say that I couldn't handle it. Um and that was hard. But I will say my mother, who is very supportive, me just opening up to her, she pretty much taking all those negative thoughts out of my mind, just holding me tight and saying that that's not what this is. This may be a detour for now. You don't know what this could end up being down the road. And at least with bankruptcy, there was still it's not the end all. Um and I was able to find someone who helped explain that process, and I was able to get through that hurdle. And of course now I'm on the other side of that, so that's nice too. But it was hard. This industry is very fickle, and it has its ups and downs. The pandemic hurt us very hard. Theaters are not as they're still not to 100 capacity that they were before the pandemic hit us. We're still trying to figure out how best to make sure that this industry is still viable, that we still bring productions here, that we don't continue to go out of the country because labor is cheaper, which that does happen. Um, it's such a thing that's in flux, and I think we're gonna have to always change and get better. And I will say the company that I work for now, NBCUniversal, they like to look at things and see the patterns and the trends. And for them, they're not going to be like, we've always done it this way, so let's continue to do it this. No, no. Let's see where we can make some improvements, where we can change, where we can be flexible, so that we can still be competitive with everyone else in here. And to them, they realize they have employees, hundreds, thousands, millions of people that they want to support and continue to support. So hey guys, we got you. We know things are low right now, but we're making moves so that we could be the industry, the company that we know that we can be, and be able to support other studios in this climate. Georgia is definitely in a very interesting place right now, um, competitively with New York and California and Chicago and New Jersey with these tax incentives. So Georgia needs to also be flexible and be like, oh, your tax incentives, they were nice while they were. It's time to, everyone else is on the game now. They're up on the take. They're doing what you've been doing, so it's time to continue to change and be adaptable. So that is very important. If you want to work in this industry, you have to be flexible and adaptable, and know you're going to have some lows and you're going to have some highs, but you're also going to have some lows, and you have to be able to deal with that.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And that could apply, of course, everywhere, but definitely for this industry, which is,
Yeah.
it's been through a lot over the last five
Yes.
years. It's been through a lot. So, um, no, I love that. Thank you. Um, Something I always, like to ask my guests. really the last question. But before I ask the last question, I just want to ask you something about your baking because you did mention it. So, what is your signature? Do you have like a signature sweet that you make, or even dish? Because maybe you bake bread too. I don't know. So, do you have like something that that you're either known for or you're like you would always bring?
So I would say my brownies are
Ooh,
probably my signature treat
okay.
because I can make lots of them and it's very quick and easy for me to make and everyone loves them. Everyone. And they're so surprised when they take a bite into it. And to me, they're like, "What is the secret? What is in this brownie? Is there anything else in this brownie?" No, 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 no. I pour love into the foods that I make.
Mm.
These are recipes that I got that have been passed down to me that I want to continue to pass down this tradition of cooking, of baking, because feeding it's like feeding your soul. I don't it's not just um food. To me, it's bringing treats. I do that, actually bring them to the office every now and then. I surprise everyone here and they love it. They love it when I bring my treats. Um so I will say, like, my family loves them, like, and I've made them for people that I've met in the industry. So we do a lot of partying, I will say, in industry, rap parties, things of that nature, any type of that. I'll bring these baking treats there, and it just feels good to be able to do that for others. So it's another passion of mine that I can bring into another passion and just marry the two, which has been very great.
Okay, awesome. I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you can still incorporate it into right to the film because you can bring it to rap parties. Yeah, that makes sense. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently, I'll say really quickly, like learned because I was kind of like, oh, I need to pick one, because I'm passionate about education, but of course I'm also passionate about, film and entertainment. And my book, Low Girl, is more about, you know, um, education and, reaching young women and things like that. But, I still want to be a film producer. But I went to Devon Franklin's um, one man show on Friday, and it just showed me, like, I felt like God was showing me an example of somebody who's you know, a big film producer, but he also is an author like six times over, and
Yes.
has a few
Mm-hmm.
bestsellers. So yeah, so I love that you were saying, like, how you don't have to choose one, like you
Nope.
can still have your passion, and it could
Mm-hmm.
even feed, it could even feed the other,
The other.
literally
Yep.
for you.
Yes. Yes.
She's up.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so the question I was going to wrap with, which I always like to ask everybody, is what's one piece of advice you would give your teenage self? You can pick 16 if you want. Pick a year, like the sweet 16.
I would say to give yourself grace. I would say a teenage Jasmine was very hard on herself. If I think it'd be very beneficial if she was just a little easier and just allowed herself to give herself a little grace. Most of the time, any fears or anxiety I was having at that age was just things that I was making up. It wasn't things that were actually happening. Um, and a lot of fears that I might have had where could have been avoided or could have not been fed as much if I just allowed myself to love myself a little more and just really took stock in the work and the talent and the dedication that I was putting out there, and just knowing that, hey, everything you're doing is going to pay off. It's gonna that seed that you're growing, it's gonna flourish. You don't have to worry, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. um because, oh man, that stress of just like, I have to get this, I have to do that. Especially in high school, because you're always, there's also this mentality that all eyes are on you. I will say, I felt that so much in high school, that everyone was looking at me. My anxiety was very high in high school, I will say that. um School is no joke. um but I think if we just allow ourselves to have a little bit more grace, oh, it'd be so much easier and less stress and anxiety on your body. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's what I would do. I just tell her, just give yourself some grace, baby. And I'd give her a hug. I think she needs a hug too.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Young Jasmine.
Yeah.
Give a hug and give yourself grace. Okay, awesome. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much,
Thank you.
for making it through this with me. I really appreciate your time. And I really want to know, how can the community support you? Because we have not only high school girls, but, their parents, educators, everybody listens to this. So how can people support you, follow you, or?
Yeah, so like I'm on Instagram and Facebook. If you message me, I will reach out. I want to be able to pay it forward. To me, because what I was saying in terms of I didn't have as many people that was pointing me in the direction, I kind of want to do that for those coming up behind me. I want to make that journey a little less hard. If I can give you the shortcut, I want to be able to get you there faster, and do anything I can to help others. So for me, helping me is reaching out to me so I can help you. That's how that would that's how you could help me. I want to be able to help others and other girls that want to work in this industry find a place, because I feel like the more of us are here, the better it will feel, the better it will be. It's just that's what I want to do, and that's what will be helpful for me.
Love that. I love that so much. Thank you. And I know that you mean it. We've been able to stay in touch, and
Yes.
you always answer my little calls. So I appreciate
Mhm.
that. All right. Awesome. Well, you all follow Jasmine. I think it's at Yard Jasmine on Instagram. And you can find her on Facebook or on LinkedIn. And yeah, like she said, reach out to her. But
Yes.
Jasmine, we wish you all the best. We wish you much success. And thank you again
Thank
for coming on the show. Y'all make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share with a few friends. And we'll see you next time on Brown Girls Go Live. Bye.